We already talked about premarital planning and what you want out of your marriage. Now let's make an estate plan that honors your intentions. Lindy Stanford, she's an attorney at Davis Fass Blase, and she's here to educate us this morning on pre-marriage planning. So what is the difference? Well, actually not pre-marriage planning. We're talking about wills and trusts. What is the difference between a will and a trust?
Well, both go into an estate plan, and both speak to beneficiaries, so they would both have beneficiary interests, but one takes effect immediately and the other one takes effect when you die. A will would take effect when you die. A trust is a living document that as soon as you sign it goes into effect. A will is also a public document, so someone can get access to your will. And a trust is private, which is very important. If you want privacy, no one can access that. Right. Typically, a trust is a document that is done for probate avoidance too. So to stay out of probate court, it saves money on the back end. So
is that kind of like protecting our assets?
It protects your assets and protects your beneficiaries down the line from having to sort things out at the end of the line.
Okay, so what about a living will? Is that something that you think we need?
Everyone needs a living will. A living will is also known as an advance directive. If something were to happen to you where you couldn't express your wishes, so if you were in, for example, you developed dementia or went into a coma or a car accident, your wishes that you set forth in that living will, that document, would be known to your doctors, your loved ones, the person who is acting as your agent.
Okay.
And so you would be basically setting forth what your wishes were. Everyone should have that document.
At any age we should do that?
You should have that at any age, because those are things that can happen to everyone.
Because we always, we often think about this as, oh, that's later. I need to worry about that when I'm older. But you're saying, no, right now, take control of your assets and what your wishes are. What about a divorce? How can a divorce mean that we need to maybe create or modify an estate plan?
Well, a divorce is one of those big life changes that happen to people, and it can happen to any marriage, and it's one of those life changes where you're not really thinking about what about an estate plan, what about my existing estate plan. So you wouldn't want to leave your assets to someone that you've just divorced. You're not really thinking about your necessarily changing your will at that point, but that's a perfect time to go back and revisit your will if you have one, or your estate plan. And it's also, if you don't have one, it's a good time to set one up, because you've already gathered your assets. You know exactly what you have when you get divorced. So it's a good time to take a look at everything. But it's also a good time if you have kids to set forth who those children's guardians should be. Because you may not want the guardians to be who you
were when you were married.
Right,
true,
exactly.
True. Is estate planning expensive?
It's not. It can be actually very economical, and it's certainly less expensive than sorting it out later if you don't have a good
That's kind of what we did in the first segment. It's probably more expensive not to be prepared.
Exactly.
When we're talking about, we talked about divorce, but just life changes in general. Maybe you changed careers. How often do we need to go back and check our will and our trust?
Well, you don't really need to look at a will or a trust after you set them up, unless you want to make a change. A trust, a revocable living trust, you can amend at any time. So making an amendment to it is not difficult. If you have a change of heart, you want to change a beneficiary or make a change, or a change in the law, is a good time to go back and look.
And that's where you come in.
Yeah, that's when you want to
need
have
to go
a good
and get
attorney.
an expert.
But you can make a change to an estate plan whenever there's a big life change, a birth of a child, a death of a loved one. Like I said, a divorce is the time, or an illness is the time to look at it. But Having a good, strong estate plan is really, it's important to everyone. It's a gift you give to your loved ones.
That's right, the gift that like you said, because families break apart during this kind of thing. Thank you so much, Lindy. Great information. Davis Fass Blase, they are located at 11111 North Scottsdale Road, Suite 225. That is near Scottsdale and Shea. To give them a call today, 602-279-1900, or visit their website, dfbfamilylaw.com.